We live in a society where there are now 6 episodes of the Entertainment podcast and 7 episodes of WandaVision. And that's how we needed to start off the episode today by saying that iconic line from a movie we will talk about, Zack Snyder's Justice League. In this here episode, we have some things to cover, a lot of trailers, Mortal Kombat, Cruella, Snyder Cut, more WandaVision, and even more stuff. And I could not cover any of that stuff without the help of my co-host, Mr. Evan Blackwell. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty a little jokered, a little jokerfied, Um
Aren't we all?
so of course to the Joker, of course, all things strange and weird are simply normal. A very demented, a very demented individual who finds death funny for some chilling and twisted reason.
Mm-hmm.
Why, I do say that indeed we live in a society.
We do live in a society. That's a big takeaway.
You have to say it in the 1800s prospector voice.
We live in a society.
Exactly.
I nailed it?
Yeah, I think you did.
All right. We can move on then.
A little teaser, of course.
Yeah, a little teaser for our Joker coverage this episode. So today is Friday. That means we record our show. That also means we watch a show. And that show that we watch goes by the name of WandaVision. It is now officially the #1 show in the world. And we're going to talk about that and some more today. So let's hit that first. So before we get started, I am not responsible if I or Evan spoil WandaVision for you, but I am warning you that is a possibility in this section of the show.
Oh, it is.
This was a big episode. Go ahead, Evan. What do you have to say for yourself?
All right. So WandaVision episode 7.
Yes.
What was this one titled again?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
It's like,
I'll look it up as we speak.
Fourth Wall is what it's called.
Yes.
Episode 7, Breaking the Fourth Wall.
Yes.
And that it does. So this episode is, first of all, if you've been watching along with WandaVision, you know that the main gimmick of the show is that it kind of has this little pastiche of sitcom family television going through the decades. I was kind of wondering what they would do for this, if it was going to maybe do like a Malcolm in the Middle type thing. But it seems with the opening credit sequence that they're doing a parody of The Office. So you have a little bit of Office, Kirby,
Modern Family,
yeah. The documentary style single camera setup, which I thought that this parody and the last week's parody were probably two of the most effective ones. Just because they didn't feel overdone. They didn't feel kind of just like stale and a little bit like, oh, well, we've seen 80s parody before. We've seen 60s parody before. We've seen Stranger Things. But this one felt a bit fresher. It felt a bit less like they were handling it with tongs. They really went all out with it, which I thought was really entertaining. Overall, I found this episode definitely one of the more entertaining ones. I suppose let's not hold off on any twists just yet. Though, for right now, I'll go twist free. The action stuff, we see a bit, I think more action stuff than we've seen before with this episode.
Sure.
Especially with the sequence with Monica driving her truck through that force field. Maybe this is TV budget, like this is just a thing with like a TV budget, but the action kind of did feel a little bottled. It had that Wonder Woman 1984 effect, but I didn't really mind. They kept it. They didn't do too much of it. I will give special props to the scene where in the episode, Monica has to cross back over into Wanda's world, and the visuals when she's crossing over.
Awesome.
I think they're kind of trying to do like a 2001: A Space Odyssey thing there. I thought they were very nice. Probably some of the best. Actually, you know what? I'll be bold. I would say this is probably the best visual sequence, just based on purely what I've seen. Probably the coolest looking thing that the MCU has done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bold takes this episode. I like it. Yeah, this
Yeah.
so if I were to rank the episodes, I wouldn't go in the exact order, but I will say I think it gets better each episode, if that makes any sense. I don't know if I'm contradicting myself there.
No, I think you've been pretty constant with that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, this episode, I haven't watched Modern Family, but that's what everyone seemed to say. I recognized the logo for the theme they did looked similar to it. We have Elizabeth Olsen talking right to the camera. We have those sitcom elements. Yeah. And I just want to say, I think Elizabeth Olsen is, I'm really glad we're getting to see her as the centerpiece of something, because she really rocks it each episode. And, to be able to navigate, and all these actors too, to be able to navigate all those different eras, decades, styles of the show that they're taking on. I mean, obviously, when you have actors like, Catherine Hahn, she's been in sitcoms before. But for Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany to really adapt to this, I think that's really something special that I enjoy seeing each week. I really like the style of this episode. Severe lack of Randall Park IMO, TikTok star Randall Park, if you've been keeping up with that, which I enjoy all of those ones, might I add. Jimmy Woo's the GOAT. Paul Bettany's confessional sequences as Vision were, I don't know if they were the highlight of the episode for me, but I think I laughed out loud each time he did them.
A lot of that stuff with him and Kat Dennings when they're kind
Yeah.
of. I thought, even though the exposition has that kind of like, winky nudge nudge MCU self-awareness that I normally don't like, I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
I thought it was just kind of, it was nice because it was in a small dose, a very small dose.
They were a very good pairing together. Maybe we'll see more of them, but as Vision kind of phased through the truck they were in and is on his way to somewhere, I guess we'll see next episode. But we can get into the spoilers, I think, now, because this was the first episode, I think, where we really got a huge reveal. We've gotten some slight reveals in the past, but we've kind of over time started to realize Wanda's not really in control. She's losing control. She doesn't know how this all has happened. And it is revealed that who's been pulling the strings all along? Agatha. Yes. Agnes is Agatha.
Yes, Agnes is Agatha Harkness?
Harkness, yes.
Harkness. I know that's a comic book villain.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's from the comics. I kind of can't remember what the scope is. I don't know if she has a cool name outside of Agatha Harkness.
I think that's just her name. I don't know if she has a nickname.
But she's revealed to be the one behind it all in a musical number, which is, and here's the thing, that musical number made me, as someone who's kind of a bit of a curmudgeon on the first few episodes, they didn't really move me at all. This episode gave me something that I enjoyed. Again, my biggest problem with the show was just that the sitcom parody was a little toothless, didn't do anything interesting, and the action stuff also wasn't very interesting at all. There wasn't anything really to counter the kind of banality in the show's basic premise.
Yeah.
And I found that this episode definitely gave you much more an interesting visual style, some cool looking scenes, which I enjoyed. It gave me a lot of jokes that I laughed at. And with this conclusion, this is probably one of the first MCU things that really dives headfirst into pure camp, which I liked. That was pure camp cheese, which go all out, go further with that, These are superhero movies. Be campy. Be not, you can you don't have to do the little wink nudge self-aware. You can make it silly and commit to that silliness, which I think the last two episodes have really done. They've really given themselves over to silliness. They don't have to keep themselves in the kind of Whedon-y winking to the audience bubble.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think I tweeted out earlier, I really like how, with the songs they're creating, it's a Disney Plus show. I think they had some of the songwriters for Frozen even write some of these, theme songs I've heard. But this was a really catchy, playful way to reveal something really sinister that's been going on. Because it is a big deal. Is I think Wanda's, almost being controlled. If not, she's being used. We kind of saw her use her magic at the end of the episode, and she looked like she could take control of Wanda. And does that mean she's more powerful than her? Because Wanda's arguably the strongest Avenger we have. You could argue that's Thor, Captain Marvel.
Kind of like godlike powers, you could almost describe.
Yeah, I would argue it's Rocket the Raccoon, but but
Squirrel Girl.
Yeah, Squirrel Girl, sure. I really am interested in where this is going because this was a huge reveal, and we didn't see Wanda's kids, Billy and Tommy, at the end of the episode, and I think she could have potentially killed them. I mean, who's to say that she hasn't been doing something like this? There's been a big story out of the children in this hex, so I don't know.
I will be giving this show a 5 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd.
I know.
It's the dark. Audacity to kill a child in a movie always gives me at least 1 star. Always an extra point right there.
Yeah. Yes. So, go ahead. Yeah.
We should also maybe quickly mention Wanda kind of has her perhaps a sign of her being controlled is her kind of creeping. I'm starting to feel that this is meaningless. I don't see any point, which I thought it was nice. I thought that was the drama in this episode didn't dull me the way that it has normally. It felt a bit more at place.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and quickly I want to hit on, the commercial we saw, Nexus. The commercials every week are pretty funny, in my opinion. But I was reading Twitter, and Nexus is apparently a word relating to the multiverse in Marvel. So does that mean, now that we learned Agatha's really in control of all this, so it seems that she's using the multiverse at all? That's maybe how Evan Peters came into play. And we can talk about Evan Peters too.
But that takes us into the next Spider-Man too, if it is the multiverse.
Right, and Doctor Strange 2, directed by Sam Raimi.
By the GOAT, Sam Raimi.
Yeah. So I really am excited with where this is going. I think the next 2 episodes are going to be bonkers. I think next week it's potential that we get a flashback episode. I wouldn't be shocked because they kind of set up like the third act, if you will, of this show with, okay, you have your villain, you have Vision, kind of trying to figure this all out. You have Wanda spiraling, and now we have Monica Rambeau, her character having powers. Now we have Evan Peters in that post-credit scene we saw, which is the first post-credit scene we've seen of this series. Marvel is notorious for those. Really interesting stuff, I think.
Yes, and we should also mention, speaking of Pietro, the after-credit sequence.
Yes.
Or mid-credit sequence.
Mid-credit, yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. Where we see Monica snooping around, and she's caught by. Of course, we forgot to mention, after Monica goes through the little portal, and we get these nice 2001: A Space Odyssey visuals.
Mm-hmm.
She comes out with magical powers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so that perhaps means she'll be the new Captain Marvel, as she does in the comics, I believe.
Maybe, yeah. Who knows?
We have an after credit scene where Evan Peters catches her snooping around.
Yeah.
And
It's very Stranger Things in her basement.
Oh yeah, very odd stuff going on down
Yeah.
there. I liked also how that happened, and then it cut to some nice upbeat music, which kind of reminded me of the ending of. It was like the end of Dawn of the Dead, when like all this horrific stuff happens, and it goes the da 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 da. I like that. I thought that was funny.
I know. Yeah.
That's my favorite like overused cliche in the movie. Is like
Sure.
something really heavy happens, and then there's some light music gets played. That will
Done
never.
that in WandaVision a lot too.
Yeah. The
So.
ending of Hereditary too. That one.
Mhm.
Always love it. Always welcome to see it.
Yeah. So, really interesting stuff, I think, being set up here. I can't wait to see where it goes. This is a really good series. I don't think Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be as crazy. I could be wrong, but with the less, supernatural elements in play there, um, I think this might be Marvel's winner. Maybe it stinks they're starting off with it, but I think this was at least a really great way to start off their next phase of movies, TV, whatever you want to call it.
I would definitely prefer. I think I said this in the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
That in the early on, I was kind of hoping that again they would kind of dive further into some of the weirder stuff. And while I guess they didn't go as weird as I thought, I do like with these ones they went a bit more toothed and a bit more silly, and
Yeah.
which I like. I hope that they can keep that through. Hoping the goat Sam Raimi can bring some of his trademark
Mm-hmm.
like wild, crazy, campy quality to it. I really hope they don't like clean him up for this
Yeah.
one. I hope this is a turn in the MCU to really start making some like, you're making goofy comic book movies. Make it weird or kind of creepy or kind of odd. While certainly WandaVision wasn't as, it obviously didn't really go into some surreal psychological horror. Of course it wouldn't, but it was more strange than what we've seen before in the MCU. So I do hope this trend continues. I hope it gets even stranger, even weirder. I hope this opens the door for directors and writers coming into the MCU to just go all out with their creativity, not to kind of feel a bit boxed in by
Mm-hmm.
those kind of Disney standards that I feel
Sure.
like a lot of these movies have. They kind of have that polish on them. And this is the first one I've seen that kind of, at least slightly, chips a bit away at that. So hopefully
Yeah.
we'll see more, some
Going
different.
away from the more Marvel formula, I think, which is,
Yeah.
you could think it's good, you could think it's bad. I personally, think they're making very strong choices, and I'm excited to see who Evan Peters is. If he's really the one from the X-Men universe, we don't know. Paul Bettany said the actor he really appreciated working with and wanted to work with his whole life still has not appeared in the show. So, I think you can place your bets on, is that Patrick Stewart? Is that Ian McKellen? I think Kim and Ian McKellen might have worked together already though. But
I can't recall.
okay. But I think that's where a lot of the internet speculation is headed towards. So yeah, really exciting stuff for WandaVision. As long as they have more Randall Park. And who's Hayward? I want to find out who he really is. What's his deal? Is he just a jerk? I don't know.
I can find that out. Maybe
I know.
I'm sure he's probably a comic book character. Maybe he's like some Silver Age guy who like appears kind of in the background in a bunch of 80s comics, like a lot of these guys are. So
Some people think he's Ultron as a human, and I think we're too far into the show for that to be a big reveal they've been hiding.
Oh.
It could be. I mean, that could be finale, and then we have like an hour and a half finale, and it's a, huge thing with that. I think it would be a little much to squeeze that in with this week's reveal. But, I'm excited to see where it goes. Any last thoughts before we move on from WandaVision?
Just that this probably was this one and the last one. Again, as the curmudgeon, I did enjoy these two episodes. I thought they were a good watch.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been holding out on WandaVision, and you're fine with going through, what is that, 5 episodes to get to them. I would say do it for episode 6 and 7.
Yeah.
That commercial was funny once again.
Yeah, good commercials. I like it. Moving on, but staying in the comic book world, we got our first real trailer. I guess there was a teaser trailer before, I don't know, second trailer, whatever you want to call it, for Zack Snyder's Snyder Cut, Justice League, whatever you want to call it, a movie heavily influenced and getting made and released by the interwebs. Evan, do we live in a society?
I believe we do live
Mm-hmm.
in a society.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I know I'm online, it's cool to hate on Zack Snyder, yes. But I take a differing stance. Just
Okay.
in that I think this movie has the chance to be really amazing. I think this movie has, from what it looks to be, it looks to be very much like the fact that he says we live in a society, just like that little wink wink nudge nudge. I really have difficulty believing that Zack Snyder did that and no one told him like, hey, don't do that. I think we're going to see with this movie. And again, Snyder saying he wants to make it in black and white too. I think this big thing with the Snyder Cut is that Zack Snyder is obviously a very he's often called self-indulgent, which I don't disagree with. His movies always have these grand, big psychological musings and philosophical arguments that really don't add up to anything. And those slow motion sequences and those like quick cuts of some like nice looking shots that look like a comic book panel but really don't make sense within the plot. All of those things look to be the case in Justice League. And I'm honestly down for it. I imagine this movie could just be some, dumb watch trash, but this is the kind of dumb watch trash that I think might actually make itself at least a little interesting and be some kind of funny.
Yeah.
So I will say that I will be watching this. I might even enjoy it.
You're going to commit 4 hours of your day to it?
Of course I will. Commit
Okay.
4. See, that's the thing. Who let Zack Snyder make a 4-hour long film?
I don't know. Do you think they just, gave him the keys and said, go ahead?
I think they did. And that's why I really look forward to this movie. Because I think, obviously, again, I hate to bring it back to a previous topic, but with WandaVision, even with Marvel, when you let them go crazy, it's still like a paint by numbers crazy. It still is crazy in a way that other movies have done before. I think you give Zack Snyder a blank check to do whatever he wants, it'll be crazy. It might not work. It probably won't work. But it'll be crazy in a way that I think only Zack Snyder and his little brain his big, juicy brain
Mm-hmm.
will be able to pull off.
Yeah. I'm
I think
certainly
a
interested.
face-off level craziness, honestly. That's
Yeah.
what I'm looking forward to.
I am certainly interested in this movie. I have not seen the theatrical Joss verse Justice League. I've seen about 10 minutes of it or so on some channel. I was watching it before the Super Bowl started, and I was like, maybe I'll stick with this, but I didn't feel the need to. Probably would have been more entertaining than the Super Bowl was. I really like that this movie has an R rating.
Yes.
I like more of that in I want to see more of that because I recently this week rewatched both Deadpool movies. And Deadpool's different. He's Deadpool obviously and Ryan Reynolds does his thing. But the Suicide Squad with James Gunn and this with Justice League, I do kind of want to see that whatever that R rating entails, if it's gore, language, whatever. I kind of want to see that because we do stay in this box of PG-13 Marvel movies, and they are obviously very good movies, but sometimes it gets a little redundant, I think. So I'm excited to see where this goes. DC doesn't need to be like Marvel. If they can do stuff like this, like Joker and Suicide Squad and whatever else they have up. Their Flash movie, bringing back Michael Keaton. I think they should keep doing more stuff like this. Take a big swing, and if you miss, at least you tried, I think. But one thing I do want to touch on this trailer is the format of it. It didn't fill your computer screen, didn't fill your TV screen. You could probably watch it in portrait mode on your phone. And I don't know if that was what was intended when releasing this.
I remember they said something about, because it's in 4:3.
Yeah.
The Lighthouse was, or like just how, like, watch an old episode of The Simpsons, like it's how it was in old TVs. Which, from what I've read online, Zack Snyder did that because of IMAX. Here's the thing. This is just another example of what I'm talking about. How you let a fully unleadened, crazy person mind, like, you let him do your $1 million movie project, you're going to end up with stuff like this. And I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Nothing but respect for a man who was that committed to wasting studio money.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So
I have unironically so much respect for this.
Yeah, I do too, almost. So I'm just wondering if the movie's going to be in that format. I don't think it will, but if you have a big superhero movie in that format, I think it's certainly going to be a topic of discussion. I don't know.
Snyder Cut is that everything, even every decision makes you go, huh?
Yeah, huh? I wouldn't have done it this way, but
I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Joss Whedon is currently rolling in his grave. That is, he's not dead, but he's rolling. I wonder.
I guess.
What'd you say?
I said I feel like Joss Whedon gets like canceled once a year. It's a routine tradition of Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Hey, hear that thing he did? And you're like, yeah, I remember. I didn't forget.
Oh, Joss. If you have a name like Joss Whedon, I think you should be canceled already.
If you have a name like Joss, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Call yourself. No one. I don't know if his born name is Joss, but if my name is Joss, I'm going by Josh.
Yeah. I don't even feel the need to look it up because he just is a Joss, whatever that entails. I do wonder if there's going to be any original shots from the theatrically released Justice League. I've heard that there might not be, and I don't know how that would be possible.
$500 million, which means I think a lot of it's just going to be like he said it was like reshoots.
Yeah.
But for $500 million,
I think he just made a new movie.
Yeah. Again, you let a person with this many brainworms go on.
Yeah.
Make a film. Then I think the difference between the Marvel approach and the DC approach is that, again, DC, they're not afraid to be stupid. Which, of course, means a lot of their movies are worse.
Right.
That's how you get like your Batman versus Supermans. A lot of their movies end up being train wrecks.
Mm-hmm.
But you let like a real idiot take the helm, and sometimes it'll make for a really, really fun watch.
I just can't wait till we get this money to make whatever we want.
Here's the thing, giving one of us money would be a worthwhile investment because we don't know how to make a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you, whatever you're going to get out of it, it's not going to be that kind of Disney cut precision.
Sure.
You're not going to have that much, I don't know what the word is.
Cookie cutter?
Yeah. Of course, it's all big studio fluff. Of course, it all is. But if I'm going to be watching big studio fluff, I'd like to watch one that seems like it's directed by an actual crazy or like an actual just like idiot or something.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. If I was given hundreds of $1 million to make a big studio movie, I would probably make a movie similar to a Mortal Kombat movie. So I would have someone, get stabbed and then have blood fly and then get that blood frozen by someone with powers that they can turn anything into ice and stab them with that frozen blood. And that is exactly what we saw in the first trailer for the Mortal Kombat movie, which releases April 16th on HBO Max and in theaters. This is not an ad. We're just going to talk about the movie. It may sound like an ad. Someday we'll get there. I thought the trailer for this movie was awesome. I just want to see the gore, the action. I don't care too much about this tournament of champions that brings them all together. I don't need a reason for them to be fighting. I never played Mortal Kombat. I've played games similar to it, but I thought this looked so cool. Evan, what did you think about it?
So, a few moments ago, when I said, "Don't be afraid to let an idiot at the helm," don't be afraid to let an idiot run your course. This is a prime example of what I mean. Don't be afraid to be dumb. If the blood splurts out, you freeze it, you use it as a weapon, something like that. That's the kind of Sam Raimi weirdness you need. That kind of like weird, again, maybe kind of nebulous, maybe kind of misguided, definitely very odd and like risk-taking tone that you need to adapt stories this silly.
Yeah.
And I think the Mortal Kombat has it. I think Sam Raimi has it. I think if he does it right, Zack Snyder will have it. This is what I love to see in an action movie. Kong Skull Island, that had a lot of that kind of crazy, weird. They had like cannibal Holocaust references and stuff like that. That kind of craziness where you can tell this is just someone having fun and enjoying what they're doing. I think that Mortal Kombat looks up to be pretty good. Maybe we might be eating our words in 2 months. But honestly, from what it looks like, if that scene remains uncut with the blood freezing, then I'll probably like it anyway.
It's good for that reason alone.
Exactly.
What was I going to say? I really don't care about the plot of this movie if the action is like that throughout. Obviously, you can have action sequences throughout the whole movie. There are some limitations, but I think video game movies need to be like this more. I know this was just a trailer, but video game movies are notoriously bad for X amount of reasons. And I kind of think it's because they take themselves too seriously. They try to make it an actual plot. Just make it like a video game where you do what you enjoy. You beat people up. You freeze their blood.
Try to overcome the fact that they're or that they're video game movies by making them super normal or making them like, hey, don't worry, this is just a regular movie. Like, no, it's not. It's a video game movie. Make it look like a video game.
Yeah. Make it like you would want to be controlling the characters that you're seeing on the screen, and you want to be in that world like you are when you play a video game. I think that's really what the takeaway from that should be, because it looks awesome. The fights, whatever. I'll be watching it when it comes out, I think, on HBO Max, maybe, even though I don't have HBO Max. Will you be watching this, Evan?
I will. Hopefully several times.
Several times, yeah. Or just a singular scene several times. Who knows? What
scene will that be? I think it'll be the scene where they're at the bar watching the television.
Probably, yeah, with the real human drama. Like what'll probably be the most watched footage from King Kong versus Godzilla.
What we all remember is the most memorable stuff in Kong Skull Island. We, Save Entertainment, are a big fan of the human drama plots. If you're making a big, crazy action movie, of course put your focus on the human drama. After all, that's what the audience came here to see. Came here to see Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston have some romance, and that's what they're going to get.
That's what you're gonna get. Yeah. Getting a tattoo at birth to be invited for. I know I'm complaining about the plot. That was a little. That was. It's a video game movie. I'm not gonna complain.
It's like silly and weird, but I liked that. I'm very glad that that's you can be that dumb with it.
Sure. Speaking of potentially silly and weird movies, another trailer for a big movie released this week. The Cruella DeVille movie titled Cruella.
Cruella DeVille.
Take it away. I mean, go ahead.
Beautiful stylings by Evan Blackwell and Declan Young.
So yeah, they're making a Cruella DeVille origin story movie. Is that what we should call it?
I guess it technically is an origin story. The young, flashy Cruella starting her days off in
yeah.
So it seems to what do we have to say about Cruella?
What do we have to say about it?
So London in the 70s, it seems to have a kind of, from what I remember when this movie was announced, they made sure to mention that it had a very kind of like punk rock aesthetic is what they said. So, I mean, I remember I saw Emma Stone and had the A was like the anarchy A. And I guess, maybe like the Clash, that kind of scene is what they're going to be trying to evoke with this film. I thought, no,
like
I remember.
Sorry, another Emma Stone movie.
Oh yeah, I thought that this film reminded me a lot of Batman Returns, the trailer.
That's what it was aiming for, I think.
I think it was.
Cruella Returns.
Cruella Returns.
Yeah.
The kind of, the dark gothic visuals, the really all of Cruella's performance looks like Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman Returns. The little isolated bits of neon in little certain ways. The really thick melodramatic camp is very Tim Burton-y. It's melodramatic camp that occasionally moves into sort of self-aware parody. But the camp, the melodrama that everyone's feeling so much, they've got so much angst.
People are saying so much.
Like idiots on Twitter are saying that this could be Disney's Joker. It's not. This is Disney's Batman Returns. I hope there's a Max Schreck-like villain in this movie. Christopher Walken type, really evil guy.
Well, I guess by saying Disney's Joker, people mean it's a PG-13 Joker, but I didn't get I didn't get what happened in this trailer. I don't know what the plot of it is. I know it's about her.
It's about I think people say it's Disney's Joker because one, it takes not an affable but like a cartoon villain and then pairs it with a sort of like Taxi Driver reminiscent story about a guy suffering a mental breakdown because of loneliness and just like personal whatever, set amidst a changing backdrop that is the past in a metropolitan city, which of course the Joker didn't invent. As I said, Taxi Driver did that first, and also it's a very strenuous connection at best.
Yeah,
I think we're kind of bleeding into a future topic later on in this episode when we mention stupid people on Twitter comparing this to the Joker. But I will say this movie looks to be interesting. I will see it. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not interested by this movie.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Now I've said this before, and I'll say it again. let's not make Disney villains hot, guys. Let's stop it. Stop it for a while.
Mhm.
Don't the puppy skinning murderer of cartoon fame is hot in this one. Cruella de Vil is hot, and you have to deal with it. I
Okay.
don't like that. I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. You feel guilty, don't you?
I do feel guilty.
Mm-hmm.
That was Disney's plan. Disney's plan was to make the audience the Joker,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
to
there we go.
drive them crazy.
Well, I think Joker made $1 billion, and then people watch this trailer and we're like, oh, it's the Joker. Like, that's the only movie everyone has ever seen. Like, I don't know.
Hey, the Joker film, of course, revolutionized the idea of making the movie about a person.
Uh-huh.
So, in much the same way, this movie is like the Joker. Listen, I'll be honest, if the only movie you've seen that wasn't like an MCU movie was Joker,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm sure you would be able to say, "Oh yeah, this movie reminds me of the Joker."
Yeah, exactly. I haven't even seen Joker. I'm gonna be honest. So I've seen the some of the famous scenes online, but
See,
I maybe I would have seen the comparison if I had seen Joker. But I was like,
I've seen Joker. I saw Joker like 3 times,
uh-huh.
and I still don't get the comparison. I again, if Cruella de Vil was the second movie I've ever watched, the first being Joker, then I might be able to say it reminds me a lot of Joker. But
Yeah.
no, Batman Returns all the way. This is going to be Disney's Batman Returns, though I don't feel like it's going to be as gothic and weird. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, visually, it looks pretty nice. I'm interested to see what they'll do. I'm sure she's not going to be murdering any puppies in
That's
this.
what I was gonna say. I'm interested to see how Disney navigates this plot because it's not fully the 101 Dalmatians storyline, it seems.
See, famously, of course, Cruella de Vil never does murder those puppies.
No.
I think if she did, that would be a very different kind of film. If
Yes.
it ended with her getting her Dalmatian coat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they explain this in the movie, but why would you want to why would you need 101 puppies? I feel like you could get 40 full-grown Dalmatians and you'd have the same amount of fur.
Excellent point.
You'd have to kidnap less dogs. I guess kidnapping puppies is easier.
Maybe. Depends what method you take.
You just get them in and doesn't she have like 2 men? Are we gonna see their origin story? Like
I
the two
think I
bumbling
saw them in the scene where she's in the car. I think
Oh
I
yeah.
think they might have been there, but obviously we're speculating over minimal footage.
And now I did watch the trailer, but I can't recall. I don't think the song ever made an appearance.
No, I don't think it did. There was
So
a song, as she said, "I'm Cruella."
Cruella de Vil,
Yeah.
Cruella de Vil.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't scare you, no evil thing will. Now I have to stop there so Disney doesn't take this video down.
Right, right. We should have thought about that. Save Entertainment might die now. Um, I don't know if Disney would be able to find us.
That'll be the best thing for publicity, though, if Disney sues
Right,
us.
right. We would make some money off that. I quickly do want to say though, Emma Stone is my favorite actress. I find her watchable in literally anything, and I really like the accent. I guess I don't know what kind of accent it is, but the character voice she has. So, anytime Emma Stone, they're so similar. They have the same
Well,
name.
she's British now, so she
Right.
is
Yeah.
basically Emma Watson.
Both in Disney movies. Emma Watson was Belle. You can see where I went with that.
I thought Belle was a drawing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anytime Emma Stone has a chance to showcase anything, La La Land, possibly my favorite movie ever. Easy A, she's in Superbad. I haven't seen Birdman, which I know she's in. Did she win an Oscar for that?
I want to say she did.
Okay.
A lot of people won. Wait, yes, she did.
Yeah.
A lot of people won Oscars for that movie.
Okay.
She's very good in that film, Birdman, as
Mm-hmm.
Michael Keaton. Another Batman Returns parallel is that we've got a Michael Keaton alum as Michael Keaton's estranged daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Very good in her role.
Yeah. So, if nothing else, I'll watch it because Emma Stone's entertaining in movies, and I think she could carry a movie. Someone else who makes movies does not star in them, by the name of Martin Scorsese, said some things that got some love, got some hate on Twitter, as he I guess tends to do. You either really disagree with him or really agree with him. Am I right in that, Evan?
I think you are right in that assessment of our pal Marty Scorsese, who we kind of earlier in our Every Movie is Taxi Driver analysis of filmmaking.
Yeah. So, do you want to elaborate on what he said at all?
So Scorsese, in his essay Il Maestro, where he talks about the great Federico Fellini, director of some of the greatest films ever made, like 8.5, Amarcord, amazing director, and another amazing director writing an essay about him, Marty Scorsese. And in that essay, he mentions how film today has been cheapened and valued, as he says, cheapened and devalued into mere content. And this got a lot of people upset at the way that he describes that calling movies content and treating them as a material is leading to a cheapening of film. People got mad at him, people were yelling at him, people were calling him elitist. But I'm sure, as anyone who knows just how pretentious I am, knows who I side with in this argument. I think that Scorsese was pretty accurately describing just the way that film has kind of turned in recent years, just with, a studio like Disney that owns like 40, it owned 40% of the market share like a few years ago, definitely more now. But a movie like a studio like Disney that's like making these Marvel movies one after another, and as we said before, a majority of them are good films. A majority of them are good, watchable films, but they're made like material. They're marketed like material, and the way that you see them as a consumer is the same way that you're sold a can of peas at the grocery store, or you're sold a new car. They're made specifically for your liking. They're sold to you based on your taste. Your government, the government in your phones, they track where you are, they track what you like and what you look at, and then they send those off to studios, and then they make the movie that has all of those in them. And he's correct. That's true. And I think a lot of people would be more enjoyable. I think a lot of people would enjoy movies that weren't just given to them on a silver platter by a corporation, that weren't made and curated exactly for you in a kind of Brave New World style of consuming art. But what do I know?
What do you know?
Film bro elitist. I think a lot of people are still mad at him for when he said Marvel movies.
That's where I was going. I think a lot of the Twitter warriors who have only seen such films as the Marvel Cinematic Universe are
and Joker
a little sour on him for what he said about those movies.
I mean, first of all, Martin Scorsese is like, what, 76 years old?
Yeah.
Think that he likes the MCU? Like, do you think he does? Obviously, my stance is that the MCU movies, by definition, they are cinema. They're not like art films.
No.
They're not really I can't imagine any of those films are anyone's favorite movie because they're very safe.
Yep.
But so I do agree with this criticism. I don't agree with the statement that they aren't cinema.
Sure.
But he does provide a valid critique in that these are very safe films. Again, they're made like you make a car. You read all the charts, you read all the data, and you're like, okay, this has to have 20% this, 30% that, 40% that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Obviously, again, every movie is kind of like a product, but they can also be so much more than that. That's all poor little Scorsese had to say.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's interesting when you look at people on his side, people not on his side. You can have whatever take you want on it. Maybe leave some takes in the comments section if you're watching us, because now at this point, if anyone's at this point, we'll tell you to like, we'll tell you to subscribe, we'll tell you to comment. We are doing significantly more impressions, views on YouTube with each episode, and that's really cool for us. Me and Evan are going to try and plan more things to throw on the channel, and just grow, because we like doing this stuff and want to keep doing it. And if we have more people watching us, the more we can do. So that's all I have to say for that. And we're going to move on now to our last couple mini topics that we're going to cover. Those were really the main topics, and then we'll get into our Letterboxd reviews that we talked about last week as well, and we'll clip that out. I'm going to clip our WandaVision review out as well, put it on the channel, just to give us some more content. If people just want to watch that part of the show, or watch us do something else.
Screaming somewhere right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So much content. Okay, so just quickly, some topics that I saw over the interwebs that I want to cover. Donald Glover's show Atlanta, which has 2 seasons, on Hulu. They're filming season 3 and 4 together in March. I guess we'll talk about more about Donald Glover in our next topic, actually, but he might be busy, so fans of this show get their 2 seasons out. I don't know how quickly they'll release them. Atlanta is a show I haven't seen it, but I am very interested to see. I feel like I say that a lot, but you know how we all are. We watch what we're in the mood to watch. So I love Donald Glover. I know Lakeith Stanfield, obviously, it's part of the show. Great actor.
Good and everything I've seen him in.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll watch Atlanta at some point, and I am excited to see Donald Glover and Lakeith get more work. Do you have anything to add, Evan?
Those are both amazing actors. This looks to be a good turn, a good project. So very interesting.
Well, more on Donald Glover. As I mentioned, he signed a multi-year deal to develop projects with Amazon Prime Video. And I don't know if these will be films, if he'll star in them, if he's writing them, whatever, but he's going to be developing projects over multiple years, I guess, with them. And Malia, is it Malia or Malia Obama?
I think it's Malia.
Okay, Malia. She has joined the writing staff for his first project there. Interesting.
I think it's very good for Amazon Studios to
Yeah.
give a chance to a young, upcoming, writer with no connections, very new to the industry.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very brave of them to give the chance to someone who, maybe they'll land on their feet, maybe they won't.
Does nothing other than films also. That's the only way he gets his money.
Of course. I mean, she's really a nobody. We haven't really seen.
I'm sorry. I was talking about Donald Glover. My fault.
Yes.
Well, of course, joke.
2 people from, 2 unknown creatives.
Yes.
Malia Obama, of course, a complete unknown.
Mm-hmm.
So I really look forward to see her take on this.
No relation to a former president at all. Jordan Peele is working on his third film that he will direct.
Daughter of Jonathan Obama, actually.
And said Jordan Peele movie will be starring Daniel Kaluuya, who previously worked with Jordan Peele in his 2016
2015, I think.
2050. Wow, it's been that long. Movie Get Out. And Keke Palmer will also be in the movie. I think she's the villain, it said.
Yeah, I think so.
Anything you want to say about this, Evan?
Oh, 2017. Never mind.
Okay.
Get Out 2017.
We were both.
Jordan Peele, I mean, I liked Get Out. I loved Get Out. I loved Us. I thought Us was very, very good. You know, often the second movie is where directors sometimes can kind of go off the wayside, or maybe they'll make something that's a little like, But the second movie, I liked Us just as much as Get Out. So I have no reason to not look forward to this one. It looks pretty good. So
yeah,
what about
yeah. Excited. I like Jordan Peele. Like everything he's in. I like these two actors too. Keke Palmer was in the famed Nickelodeon show True Jackson VP. I enjoyed that in my youth, so I'm excited to see more of that. There was an actor, I believe, I was unfamiliar with him. His name is Jesse Plemons, I believe, and he turned down the role Daniel Kaluuya is taking to star in Martin Scorsese's movie he's doing with Apple and DiCaprio, something Flower Moon. I forget the name. I'll look it up real quick.
I really enjoy him. No, that's another actor who I enjoy in everything I've seen.
Right.
Fargo, I quite enjoyed. The episode of Black Mirror, the Star Trek episode.
Yes.
Black Mirror show's pretty hit or miss for me.
Oh, he is in that Black Mirror episode. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Looks like Matt Damon, but he's not Matt Damon.
Ginger.
Yeah, he's a ginger. The Black Mirror show very hit or miss for me, but one of the ones I really liked, I remember he was the lead in that one. Both of these projects look pretty good.
Killers of the Flower Moon. That's the name.
Killers of the Flower Moon. I know, was he in that recent Charlie Kaufman film, I'm Thinking of Ending Things?
He might have been.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm glad that we are an all-knowing podcast. Paddington 3 is in the works. This would be the sequel. The threequel, sorry. I believe that's what they called the third album in the Chipmunks movie. Something.
They called that the squeakquel, didn't they?
The squeakquel might be 2. I don't know. Threequel. I feel like threequel was used before for a third movie in a franchise.
Yeah, probably.
But the threequel to Paddington and Paddington 2. Evan, do you care about this?
I think
they're good movies.
Yeah. Well, if you forgot to mention this, but it was announced that it did find a director. That is, Martin Scorsese will be directing.
He'll be producing more content.
He'll be producing a lot of content. Yeah. It'll of course be starring Robert De Niro as Paddington. It'll be starring Paddington, the head of the Paddingtoni crime family.
Yep.
Starring Al Pacino as
the mob movie.
Right, of course.
Yeah, so we're excited for that.
Hey, Scorsese does have the range. Hugo, masterpiece.
Okay. My brother's reading that book right now, The Adventures of Hugo Cabret. Michael Cera and Jeff Goldblum are rumored to be in talks to star in Wes Anderson's next film. I really like this. I love Michael Cera. I love Jeff Goldblum.
I love Wes Anderson and Jeff Goldblum
Also.
and Michael. Jeff Goldblum was amazing in Wes Anderson's, I believe, a lot of people I'm sure agree, magnum opus, The Grand Budapest Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Truly an excellent film. and starring Jeff Goldblum in one of my favorite performances of his career. It's very small, short and sweet, but I love those two. This looks to be good news.
Yeah.
I wonder if this one, I remember a while ago, it was announced, but then it didn't end up happening, that he was going to be doing like a musical.
Ooh, interesting.
Something maybe Jacques Demy-esque. I hope I'm not butchering that guy's name, Jacques Demy. Umbrellas of Cherbourg guy.
Mm-hmm.
Very him-esque, perhaps, very in the typical Wes Anderson stylized, take on film. So I think this looks pretty good.
I feel like Michael Cera
looks pretty good.
I feel like Michael Cera is just someone who should be in a Wes Anderson movie by this point.
I remember Timothée Chalamet when they announced that he was in The French Dispatch. I was like, seems fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
About time that he gets put into the Wes Anderson-averse.
Yeah, put him enough. About time he's been in the spotlight. Let me say.
Oh yes, definitely.
Dude's had a lot of indie films. Total Drama Island will be having 2 new seasons developed by HBO Max. This is great. This is really great. Is that our official stance on that?
This is great. I don't know if we mentioned this last time, but Clone High will also be.
Right. I think we might have, but if we didn't, you're hearing it for the first time or second time. Bring back more kids shows we enjoy.
Yeah. Make me happy like I was when I was a child, HBO Max. I know you have it in you.
Yeah. Tired of watching Snyder Cut. Fortnite will be having
over and over again.
Stop forcing it. Stop forcing me to watch that. Fortnite, this is our last one before we get to our Letterboxd reviews. Fortnite will be having a short film festival. And do you want to hear the title of what the festival's called?
What's it called?
Short Night.
I don't get it.
Evan, are you a Fortnite stan?
Of course, I am a Fortnite super stan.
If you weren't before, you should be now.
Yeah.
Go watch some short film.
Called Short Night?
Yes.
Huh. It's pretty, I'm sure, a lot of a collection of indie films.
Right.
If only someone had foreseen this kind of transformation of films into meaningless content and wrote some kind of essay about it that was published in Harper's Way, but apparently they haven't. So, if you're a great director who's directed a lot of Hollywood films and you have a take on how, large corporations and their increasing control of the cinema industry has done, then please write a paper about it. I'm sure it'll go over well, and I'm sure everyone will get it. And put it in Harper's Magazine, where everyone will take the time to read it and appreciate your nuanced take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go play Fortnite, kids. Watch some short films. All right, that's it for our short topics, main topics. Now let's get into the real content from our show.
Oh, yes.
We're going to read more Letterboxd reviews. Evan, how many reviews do you have on the docket today?
I have 4 reviews. Let me count again.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
All right. I have 3. 1 pretty lengthy one, 2 short and sweet ones. Evan, since you have more than me, I'll let you start.
All right. Let me start. Let me start with a medium-sized one.
Okay.
Review for the film Pixels.
Yes. Starring Adam Sandler.
At Big Boss Autumn.
Yeah.
5 stars. Adam Sandler. The man truly needs no introduction. Any movie he's in turns to pure gold, and Pixels is no exception. For all the classic video game lovers out there, this is a gem you can't pass up. Truly a gift to all retro gamers. Referencing even the most obscure arcade classics like Pac-Man and Monkey Kong, including genius actors like the short one and Paul Blart. This is a film that is truly dying to get on your shelf. My wife would have loved to see this one if she still had her arms and legs and a body with a soul attached to it. I miss her. But the temporary happiness this movie gave me will help ease the pain for the next week until I need to put something in the place where she was once. All I feel is hurt. All I feel is sadness and pain. I'm going to go watch Happy Gilmore.
You should. Even though that review said that they're going to watch Happy Gilmore, I feel like you should as
well. I would watch Happy Gilmore. Unfortunately, I was abducted by the CIA in the mid-'60s as part of their MK Ultra campaign.
Okay.
In fact, my MK Ultra trigger is the film Happy Gilmore.
Okay.
Last time I tried watching Happy Gilmore, I ended up committing a horrific massacre.
Okay.
We'll delete this part of the podcast, right?
We'll cut it. Yeah, we'll cut it out. Okay. Censored. What a review, man. What a you sent that to me and I read it, but then just hearing it out loud just adds an extra oomph to it.
I think it's great. I love the film Pixels.
Yeah.
2 hours that I could not have spent doing anything else better.
I want to watch this movie right now. I rewatched the Deadpool movies, as I mentioned this week. Both very good movies. IMO. First one better. But this is about the second one. Deadpool 2 from Logan Kenny, who left it 1 star.
Oh,
and he says 0 stars, even though he left it 1 star, so he's already off to a rough start. Relentlessly ugly, both formally and in every other way. The visuals are disgusting and cheap, grayed out and amplified to the max, with some of the worst visual effects work I've ever witnessed, mixed with incompetent action sequences and broken editing. The screenplay is a non-existent screech of lazy references and mutated sentimentality. There's no punchlines except, "We're in a movie," or "This is like that other thing," or a comically overblown display of meaningless ultraviolence. Death doesn't matter, and neither does life. The attempts to make you care about these ciphers for hackneyed nihilism and disfigured corporate branding are more manipulative than adverts for industrial charities, and any potential form of resonance within the film's coda gets wiped away with another F you to the camera, another haze of fake blood, and posturing dude bro BS. This movie is more soulless than any MCU joint, and that's saying something. There is nothing but emptiness and despair and freaking garbage here. It's excruciating in its irritation, in its length and its abysmal handling of themes it's not qualified to even begin discussing. The nature of violence is one of chaos and only leads to despair. The one true evil is an abused kid murdering his oppressor, but people who blow up bridges and execute anyone in their warpath for a smile and a fourth wall break are our heroes, deserving of a narrated monologue about family. This is disgusting. Wow. That's all I don't know. I'll have to ask him. I dove into this guy's Letterboxd account, and it seems he either loves or hates movies. He's never lukewarm on them.
You know, I respect it.
Yeah, I do too.
See, I have no really strong feelings one way or another about Deadpool. I can't imagine. I mean, I could imagine loving it. They are funny. I couldn't imagine being that angry about one.
I'm not hysterically laughing through the whole thing, but I'm still enjoying what I'm seeing.
Yeah. I feel like giving it more than 4 stars, giving it more than 3.5 stars or less than 2 stars.
I gave the first one 4. I gave the second one 3.5.
Well, by Evan standards, you are officially cringe.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sure I have to tell you this.
Would you like to read us some more cringe from Letterboxd?
Remember our slogan: if you post on Letterboxd, you are cringe immediately.
True.
You've already lost the game.
Yeah. I'm reverting to like one-word reviews now, not even one sentence.
That's good because I think you spend less brain time on that app.
Yeah.
I think the more of the more percentage of like your brain waves you occupy to Letterboxd, the more it takes you.
Yeah.
So I have two short ones, so I'll read them back to back.
Go for it.
Jojo Sweeterman
Mm-hmm.
says about the Zapruder film, 5 stars. Refreshing to see an open-minded approach to thriller and action. Now, this one speaks to me because I also left a review on the Zapruder film, making about the same joke, hoping that no one else had made it before. I was saddened to find someone had.
I'm sorry to hear that. It's a tough situation when that's happened.
This is why every time I make an easy joke, I never check.
Right.
No one can accuse me of plagiarism if I haven't even read it.
Right. I agree. Good point.
And R.J. Tona says for The Shining, 1/2 star. Yellow poster reminds me of P. 0 out of 10. Now, in his defense, it is a sickly pea yellow. And to my recollection, no one pees in that entire movie.
Okay.
Listen, Stan, I'm sure you're listening to this in purgatory.
Yeah.
Listen, Stanley. I don't know you get off making these awful looking posters, but it's got to stop.
Yeah.
Learn a thing or two about directing from one of the greats. Uwe Boll, for example. Or Chris Columbus, director of Pixels.
He directed Pixels?
Yeah, he did. The guy who directed
movies, the Harry Potter
also directed, and the Harry Potter movies, directed Pixels. The peak of his career.
It's so funny, like those Letterboxd lists where it's like random movie roulette or whatever. I don't know. I just find this funny. Movies where people
use Letterboxd for jokes or as a diary. That's how you use it correctly.
Yeah.
If you're writing a thesis about anything where you're trying to change people's minds on Letterboxd, if you're trying to do something like that, then you've lost.
Yeah.
You're coming at it at a losing angle.
All right. Well, I have 2 more, and you mentioned the famed Academy Award-winning film Paul Blart in one of your in your Pixels review, I believe. Is Kevin James featured in Pixels? I think he might be. So this is a 5-star review from Bailey for the movie Paul Blart, Mall Cop. And they said, a misunderstood triumph in the mall cop crime genre. It transcends words and is an experience like none other. It touches on racism in mall society, sizeism unlike any film I've seen with my own eyes, objectively being the best in its craft. All right. So, Evan, do you have one more?
Oh, was that all?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Objectively being the best in its craft. I agree.
I can't argue with that. It does touch on such serious topics.
Now, I don't remember when last I saw Paul Blart. I don't remember any kind of racism in it, which means it's a good film.
Right.
Objectively.
Right. Maybe it touches on racism by not having any racism in it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Saying this should be how our society is.
In the same way that silence is violence, not including racism, makes this probably one of the most progressive films.
Yes.
Of 2010s. Speaking of progressive cinema, Driver leaves a review for The Emoji Movie. Get 4 stars. Of course, fedora-tipping Letterboxd hipsters can't grasp multi-layered ironic satire when they see it. I just watched it and I was literally in shock by how one thing can be so kino. It wasn't meant to be a comedy. It wasn't meant to be a kid's movie. It was meant to be watched as an allegory for the modern world's blind acceptance of anything presented as being cool just for its own sake. The very act of watching a movie was like telling you, see, you like to use emojis every day. And so does everyone around you. So you have to watch this because you're part of the grotesque machine that is modern pop culture. The screen was laughing at me and I enjoyed every moment of it. Of course, hipster boxed McFedora tips won't understand that, and their small Le Epic Upvote XD brains will never allow them to pull their heads out of their butts and really appreciate the film that is Le Film à Moche.
What was that? La McFora?
Le Film à Moche. This is probably the greatest review left.
That's a good one. That's
to all you Letterboxd hipsters out there, which means everyone except Declan and I. You need to start understanding films for how they really are. See, I remember watching this. I was saying this when I was watching the Emoji Movie. I was yelling this at the top of my lungs.
Right.
Of course, I'm not allowed back in that theater after I assaulted a child who was trying to see it with their mother.
This podcast will be taken down before it's even gotten started.
Hey, they didn't get the satire of the film, all right? They were laughing and giggling. They didn't get it. This is just like when I watched The Cat in the Hat in the theaters all over again.
Yeah, good point.
I'm not allowed in that theater either.
All right, well, I'm going to end this episode with a review of the movie Joker, which we touched on this episode. This is a 3-star review from Nick Wilbert, and he says, some people a few rows behind me applauded when Joker said society. And that's it.
I'm surprised you didn't go with the famous, this happened to my buddy Eric.
I know, I saw that one, but I thought it had too many likes. But that is a good one too. I should mention that. Honorable mention.
Now, of course, Joker is a movie with a very strong moral message. That is, we live in a culture.
Right.
Now you see, that was a joke, a reference to a popular meme in which the Joker says, we live in a society.
Thank you for explaining. I wouldn't have got there without that.
See, we try to make sure that Save Entertainment is a very accessible podcast. So if we've made any jokes today that have flown over our audience's little bird brains, then please write to us and so that we can kindly explain it.
Yeah, and with that, that's going to be it for this episode. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher now. Put us on there. You Google Save Entertainment Podcast, we come up right there because we're on Google now. So I'll link all those audios if you just want to, listen to the audio. I get it. Me and Devin are very beautiful. It's hard to look at us for a long amount of time. I'll put our Twitters and Letterboxds in the description as always. We have a Save Entertainment Twitter itself. Follow us there. Subscribe to our YouTube. Share us with your friends. Like the video. You don't have to, but I think we should at least ask, right?
Right.
So that's all we have to say. Devin, any last words?
Get this through your bird-brained heads, audience, all right? Don't make us talk down to you. I'm the bad cop. Declan is the good cop. And I'm here to tell you that if you don't like and subscribe, I'm gonna get really mad if you don't smash that like button and also smash that subscribe feature.
Really smash it until you can't anymore.
Smash it until your phone doesn't work.
Yes.
And you have to buy a new phone, which you should smash again. If I see a Save Entertainment fan with a working phone, I will know that you are a poseur.
You're not a real fan. No.
Yes.
So watch the movie Pixels. Watch Paul Blart Mall Cop. and throw a little pea yellow on your movie poster. And that's all we have to
listening to us beyond the grave. We love you, and you're a good sport.
Yeah. And that's truly it. Just remember, folks, we live in a society. Goodbye.
You don't.